Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Tasmanians are turning out to pay tribute to the life and service of Her Majesty. Our reporter, Grace Evans, is live at Government House. Grace, we may be on the other side of the world, but it's still been a sombre day for many.
It certainly has been, Kim. Locals have reflected on the 70-year reign, taking a look back at their own fond memories of the monarch. Our state leaders have also stepped out to offer their condolences. Meanwhile, here at Government House, a book will remain out for signing over the next 10 days so people can continue to pay their respects. Now, it's been a very sombre day here, and ultimately those thoughts that were shared in the book will be passed on to Buckingham Palace. Bright floral tributes for a woman who loved her colourful clothing ensembles. Tasmanians penning their sympathies, marking the end of an era.
But she's always been gracious, hasn't she? And it's a very sad time, but couldn't go on forever, I suppose.
I like the way people used to say that she could put everybody at ease. Don't you think that's lovely, that she did that?
An unforgettable charm that had locals reliving their fondest memories.
My mother went from South Africa on a BESL tour and met her, which was sort of the war veterans. I can remember her coming back in the 60s and telling me about how the Queen was nearly tripping over her corgis, her running around her legs.
Remembered with deep respect and great affection, Her Majesty's passing came as a shock to the state's dedicated monarchists.
We knew, of course, that she wasn't well and that she was struggling with health. But it was only 2 days ago she met the new Prime Minister of the UK.
Reg Watson now mourning the loss and sharing his thoughts on a Queen he's long admired from afar.
I don't think we could ever possibly have a better Queen than what Queen Elizabeth II has been.
Our Premier and Governor standing united to deliver words of gratitude for the long-standing British leader.
Her Majesty has been a constant inspiration with her firmness, hard work and good humour, despite many challenges.
There is no doubt Her Majesty led a remarkable life of public service, a devotion to duty.
With flags at half-mast across the state, veterans took a moment to pause and reflect on her commitment to the service.
Even as a young man, when I joined the Army, I signed up to serve Her Majesty as a soldier. So I think all veterans today will be feeling sad.
As sadness sweeps through the community, a new chapter of the royal family awaits.
We hope that people reflect on her leadership qualities and the way that she has conducted herself with regards to her reign, and we also look forward to the reign of the new King Charles.
While her physical presence is no longer felt, the long-standing monarch's global legacy of monumental decisions will live on. Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania is among the royal family's most far-flung realms, but the Queen was a frequent flyer to the Upper Isle. From proclaiming city status on Burnie to sharing Anzac Day in Hobart, Her Majesty had a close affinity with the state.
Hobart catches its first glimpse of the royal couple.
1954, Tasmania first lays eyes on the new sovereign. She was met with a jubilation seldom seen on the island before.
Your reception of us today, both on land and on water, indicates the fellowship and understanding which exists between Tasmania and the mother country.
Full of the pomp and ceremony becoming of a history-making visit, the 27-year-old Queen was paraded through the capital and North Hobart Oval, before visits to the Repatriation General Hospital, the oldest military base in the country, and then on to the northwest.
Eyes of thousands of children from the farms, timber centres and hamlets round Wynyard scan the skies for the arrival of the royal aircraft. And here she comes, into the warm sunlight and warm-hearted welcome of the northwest.
Wynyard waved the Union Jack in the whirlwind welcome, likewise at Devonport Oval.
Devonport called it Q Day.
Then Launceston had its Q Day. The lauded tour commenced half a century of visits. In 1963, the Royal Hobart Regatta provided the backdrop. In 1970, Australian flags would be seen predominantly over the Union Jack, reflecting a country forging a stronger national identity.
Her Majesty and Prince Philip had a smile and a gracious wave of hands for everyone.
The Apple Isle would show off a fitting backdrop at a Longley property. Prince Philip was nearly hit by the falling fruit, while the future King, Charles, would make his first of many trips south of Bass Strait. In 1988, royal watchers produced their camcorders behind the rope at Hobart Airport as the Queen arrived as part of the bicentenary tour and came bearing a gift in the northwest.
This proclamation conferring city status on Burnie.
This visit was especially sentimental as it coincided with Anzac Day.
Today I am happy to share this day of memories with the people of Tasmania. Its people yield to none in courage and pride of nationhood.
None were prouder than the 700 hand-picked guests for a glittering reception at Rest Point. The broader public would again have a glimpse of Her Majesty in Launceston, presented to Edmund Rouse.
And to Robin Gray, the Premier of Western Australia, also to his wife Judy, who's met them about 20 times now.
The Premier of where did you say?
Where did I say?
Western Australia.
I beg your pardon, I was looking at where we started the show this afternoon.
The Queen, of course, would rarely, if ever, make such a gaffe. The security at City Park was described at the time as tight, but there was no trouble here.
The familiar flower posies had also come out by this time, one little girl making doubly sure the Queen would receive hers.
The reception was just as friendly during her final visit in the year 2000.
The Queen is visiting Tasmania, where she's been given the most enthusiastic welcome yet on her two-week tour. She and the Duke of Edinburgh were greeted by more than 10,000 people who lined the streets of the capital, Hobart.
This was indeed welcome territory. Around 60% of Tasmanians had voted to keep the monarchy in the referendum held only months earlier. The familiar lines of crowds met her with glee, save for the embarrassing tomato thrower who clipped Prince Philip's hat. It was one last successful tour to the state.
We are both most grateful to you all for your warm Tasmanian welcome.
Of course, there were times Tasmania came to her.
David Byrne obviously felt that he needed a rest from feeling so he could speak to royalty. David himself is Tasmanian royalty.
Her touch was one which Tasmanians felt intimately on her many trips south.
In this hour, Tasmania speaks with one voice. God bless Queen Elizabeth and His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh. God bless the royal children.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Watching Nightly News 7 Tasmania, where tonight flags are flying at half-mast around the state as we mourn the death of Her Majesty at the age of 96. McKenna Bailey joins me from outside Launceston's Town Hall now. McKenna, a special tribute to the Queen will take place there tonight.
That's right, Kim. From tonight, the building behind me will be bathed in regal purple in honour of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth and her 70-year reign. Condolence books have also been made available at several locations in the north, including the Town Hall Customer Service Centre and Senator Wendy Askew's Launceston office for those wishing to leave a personal message to the royal family. Launceston's Mayor Albert Van Zetten says the tributes will continue until the end of the official mourning period next Sunday evening. Kim.
Well, in light of Her Majesty's passing, Tasmanian Parliament will be adjourned. Both houses will sit shortly on Tuesday, then return Tuesday, September 27. Other states will do the same. The leadership of the Launceston General Hospital is being called out during the Commission of Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse. Executive Director Dr Peter Renshaw issuing a delayed apology, with Catherine Morgan-Wicks calling for a culture change and offering a plan for the future of Tasmania's health system.
In the firing line for the second day, Dr Peter Renshaw left it to his last comment to offer his biggest expression of remorse, directing an apology to Zoe Duncan's family after yesterday stating he didn't believe the 11-year-old's allegations of rape, which took place at the LGH in the early 2000s.
My evidence was predicated on my knowledge at the time that it was not believed that a rape had taken place. However, I concede that was wrong, and I sincerely apologise to the family and to the Commission.
The admission came after reflecting on his leadership during the hospital's systemic failings in regards to nurse James Griffin.
I'm just asking if you think you'd do anything differently today if you were doing that
Absolutely
process.
not. No.
Okay, thank you.
Secretary Catherine Morgan-Wicks also providing evidence, acknowledging the Executive Director's omissions regarding the Griffin investigation in a briefing provided to her in 2019.
I'm absolutely horrified, to be honest, that I haven't received the information as that date, and I question myself what I could have done better to try and find out that information, to be honest. So I do believe that it is misleading.
Although it took some questioning for Dr Renshaw to come to the same conclusion.
It's poorly worded.
It is wrong, is it not?
It is poorly worded.
Are you satisfied with that standard of your conduct?
Oh, yes, I have no reason not to be. Everybody makes mistakes, and everybody... and it's that none of us is perfect.
The Department Secretary concluding the hearing, looking to the necessary next steps for the future of Tasmania's ailing health system, releasing a child safety wellbeing framework last week.
It will require mandatory training in relation to indicators of abuse, of grooming behaviours,
with hopes to rebuild community trust.
We note that that will take some time.
McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
The makeup of Tasmania's upper house could be swung by tomorrow's Pembroke by-election. Voters on Hobart's eastern shore will head to the polls, with the race shaping up as a straight shootout between the major parties.
Hobart's eastern shore, the home to a heavyweight by-election. Voters in Pembroke will pick a replacement for Joe Seeker from 5 candidates. Labor's Luke Edmonds, the first cab off the rank.
The biggest issue on the doors, talking to almost every person, is cost of living. So that's why I've been focused on things like power prices.
Farmer Gregory Brown confident his Liberal campaign can get results after lobbying for improved public transport options.
I've always been someone that gets things done. In all the business places I've worked, the places have always been better and busier when I've left.
Political analyst Richard Her says the major parties firm as the likely winners.
It looked more Liberal than Labor, but then again when Joe Seeker took it, she won it very comfortably as a Labor candidate.
Greens candidate Deborah Brewer, Carlo DeFalco from the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party and independent Hans Willick round out the field. The self-proclaimed Teal also says cost of living is the big issue.
What we can do within the Legislative Council is to really hold the government to account to make sure it spends its money wisely.
A major party win would keep the balance at 8 endorsed members and 7 independents.
If we go down the track of other states where the upper house becomes simply a rubber stamp for the government or a automatic impediment to government legislation, the upper house will lose a lot of its rationale and influence.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Environmentalists have expressed deep concern following the escape of up to 50,000 salmon in a popular southern Tasmanian waterway. Huon Aquaculture confirmed the incident occurred last Friday due to a tear in an inner net. Fears now for what impact it will have on the ecosystem.
They're a carnivore, and they're going to be out there sort of decimating our native fish stocks, and which includes endangered species like the red handfish and all sorts of wonderful animals.
The group is now calling on Tassal to confirm reports up to 40,000 salmon escaped from its pens in Storm Bay. 1 billion years of our island's history is being showcased through sight and sound. Musicians are creating a soundscape to tell the story of Tasmania's past to a backdrop of acrylic landscapes in Launceston's Art Gallery. The performance covers prehistoric times and ice ages to the arrival of the First Peoples.
It's a really special event to be part of because we don't think about these timescales very often, and I've had so many audience members come up at the end and just say, wow, I had no idea.
The music brings it alive and it makes it very immersive, and so you can really sort of imagine yourself through 1.4 billion years of how Tasmania formed.
Public can see Imagining Deep Time at the Art Gallery at 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Lindisfarne has one last hurdle to clear in its quest for a perfect season. The undefeated 2 Blues need to topple Cygnet in tomorrow's Southern Football League decider, and they'll look to their live wire forward to make it happen. There's only one thing better than holding the Premiership Cup.
Hopefully I can drink out of it tomorrow night.
And Lindisfarne's Michael Cassidy is in the box seat for it. His two Blues are undefeated.
You always feel pressure when you go through undefeated, but look, it's we've had a couple of really close ones where teams have pushed us and we've managed just to scrape over, which shows maturity in the group.
Lindisfarne also has the league's leading goal kicker Josh Green at its disposal. Green's been noted in the Cygnet camp, but Thor Boscott sees the bigger picture.
We can't really worry about them too much and really focus on what we want to achieve.
Cygnet has the most recent grand final experience, having beaten Huonville Lions in last year's big one.
Rise to the occasion and have that pressure, which is one thing that, you can't really go past.
And you can't go past the fact tomorrow is set to be a blockbuster. The league's expecting 5,000 to turn up.
The two best sides in the competition are playing off tomorrow, and it's going to be a great game.
While 17-year-old boundary umpire Emily Best will be the first female to officiate on the SFL's grand stage.
I love the fitness aspect of it, and everybody within the TFUA is so supportive, and it really does have a family feel to it.
As for who fields the 2022 Cup, we'll find out from 2:30 tomorrow at North Hobart Oval. Launceston United will take a victory tour to the state's south this weekend. After being crowned Women's Super League champion last week, United put 5 past Kingborough at home to clinch the title and will now face the bottom of the table, Olympia. A fire alarm has disrupted last night's Jack Jumpers match in Launceston. Around 800 fans, players and coaches were forced to evacuate Elphin and wait in the car park while fire crews attended the scene just before half-time. There was still plenty of heat when play resumed. Tasmania turned around a 5-point deficit at the half to beat South East Melbourne Phoenix by 4. Milton Doyle top scored with 17 points. Josh Majette and Rashard Kelly each had 13. Jordan Silk has taken over Matthew Wade as captain of Tasmania's Sheffield Shield side. The 30-year-old enters the new role in his 12th season with the Tigers. He'll also retain the captaincy of the state's one-day cup team. Silk's season begins in charge of Tasmania's second 11 against Queensland in Brisbane next week. Richie Port's career has been brought to a premature end. The last 3 stages of the Tour of Britain have been cancelled due to the Queen's death, meaning he's ridden his final professional race. Port's family had been waiting to greet him at the tour's finish on the Isle of Wight. And tonight's Friday Flashback is dedicated to Her Majesty's great passion, the sport of kings and queens. In 1970, Her Majesty paid a special visit to Mowbray Racecourse, an occasion capturing Tasmanian horse racing in colour for the first time. In an era when Mowbray's regular racing coverage was all in black and white,
Estrello and Sweet Mystic paid $5.50. That's our film report of Mowbray racing yesterday. We'll be back next Sunday in Sports Club.
The Queen's visit in 1970 provided a splash of colour 5 years before the technology was widely used in the state. Attended by Princess Anne, Prince Philip and the man now King Charles, the Queen was welcomed to the track by the Tasmanian Turf Club.
Mowbray Racecourse, splendidly attired for what was literally a royal derby, presented itself in bright colour.
An enormous crowd flocked to the special meet, running at 2:25 in the afternoon.
Horses and jockeys too put on an extra special effort for the occasion, and jockey Brian Gilders was obviously the happiest man in Tasmania when he won the Queen Elizabeth Stakes on Beer Street, and was congratulated by Her Majesty on his fine horsemanship.
The warm reception was a highlight of the Queen's visit to Tasmania that year, a moment to indulge in her personal passion before being whisked away to the Royal Yacht Britannia en route to Victoria with a most cheerful farewell.
Their personal warmth and sincerity, their genuine interest in all they were shown, their ready smiles and their questions had endeared them once again in the hearts of all who saw them. And it was with the affectionate wish, "Do come again soon," that Tasmania said goodbye to the Sovereign and her family.
Good evening. Having both Hobart and Launceston hit 20 for the first time in months. Had things warming up around the state today. Burnie 17 and Devonport 18. Bushy Park 22 degrees. Grove and Strawn 21. Flinders Island 20. King Island 18. St Helens and Friendly Beaches 17 and Low Head 16. Cloud blanketed the state today after a sunny start over southern regions. Plenty of cloud and also rain overnight. More convective cloud over much of the south of the country. A frontal band of cloud off the east. A patch or two over the far north and WA. today. Tomorrow, a low moves to the south of Tasmania, connected to a complex area of troughs. A high, the main presence over the mainland. West to southwest winds over the northwest up to 35 knots, extending to the remainder of the north and west in the afternoon. We have a gale warning. That's for waters between Low Rocky Point and St Helens Point. A strong wind warning from Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point. A moderate flood warning for the South Esk River, a minor flood warning for the North Esk and a flood watch for the North East. Tomorrow, Hobart showery and 18, 15 the top for Maydena and Oatlands, both expecting showers. Launceston tomorrow, 17 the top with showers, a shower or two for Devonport, just 15 tomorrow and 10 for Lyoweeney. Burnie expecting 13 degrees with a shower or two. Wet in the west, Strawn 15, Marrawar a bit of wind picking up and just 13 degrees. 17 for St Helens, showers for Swansea 18, 18 for Orford as well. On Sunday, showers more frequent over the west, south and Bass Strait, snow to 400 metres in the south. On Monday, another shower for the south, the west and Bass Strait Islands, partly cloudy for the north and east. And on Tuesday, that pattern continues with another dusting of snow possible too. Mostly sunny in Perth tomorrow, partly cloudy in Adelaide, showers for Melbourne, Canberra and possibly Sydney, partly cloudy and 26 in Brisbane. Current conditions, the temperature's holding up okay. Hobart 15 at the moment, Launceston cloudy and 14, Devonport cloudy and 13 degrees. Kim, I'll leave it with you now.
Thank you. See you again Monday. Well, that does wrap up our local news coverage on this historic day as we remember the life of Queen Elizabeth II. Thanks for being with us tonight. On behalf of the entire team, it's good night.